Stop for a moment. Listen carefully. The most powerful voice in your life is not your parents. It is not society's. It is not your teachers, your bosses, or your enemies. It is the voice that speaks inside your head when no one is watching. And here is the truth most people never realize. That voice is not telling the truth. It is repeating training. Every success you admire, every failure you regret, every limit you accept, was first spoken quietly inside you. If your inner voice is weak, your life will be weak. If it is chaotic, your life will be chaotic. This audiobook will teach you how to train that voice, because the voice within becomes the world around you. Chapter 1. Your inner voice is not you. Right now, as you listen to these words, something else is happening inside you. A voice is reacting, agreeing, questioning, judging. That voice feels personal. It feels like you. But here is the first separation you must make if your life is going to change. The voice in your head is not you. It is something you hear. You are the one who hears it. Most people never realize this. They live their entire lives inside a conversation they did not consciously start. They assume the voice is truth. They assume the voice is identity. They assume the voice is reality. It is not. Thoughts appear. You decide. Say that again internally. Thoughts appear. I decide. If the voice were truly you, you could not observe it. You could not notice it speaking. You could not disagree with it. But you do. You notice it when it criticizes you. You notice it when it hesitates. You notice it when it panics. That means there are two roles inside you, the speaker and the listener. And until now, you have allowed the speaker to run without supervision. Think about this carefully. If a stranger followed you all day and spoke to you the way your inner voice does, questioning every move, highlighting every mistake, predicting failure, you would walk away. But because the voice is internal, you tolerate it, you obey it, you identify with it. This is the first mistake. The voice is not identity. The voice is habit. A habit formed through repetition. Someone once spoke to you this way. A situation trained you to speak this way. An emotion burned this pattern into your nervous system, and now it plays automatically. Here is the truth that changes everything. You are not responsible for the first thought. You are responsible for the second. The first thought is conditioning. The second thought is character. Most people collapse here because they never pause long enough to notice the gap. They react instantly. They move instantly. They obey instantly. And reaction becomes personality. Personality becomes destiny. But when you create distance, even 1 second of awareness, you break the chain. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. 2 people fail an interview. One hears, "I'm not good enough. I always mess up. This proves it." The other hears, "That didn't work. I need to improve. Next time will be different." Same event, same failure, different voice, and different futures. The event did nothing. The voice decided everything. This is why changing circumstances does not change people. They carry the same voice into every room. New job, same fear. New relationship, same insecurity. New opportunity,
Same hesitation because the voice traveled with them. Until you train the voice, every external change is temporary. You must learn to sit behind your thoughts, not inside them. You must hear the sentence before it becomes action. This is not positive thinking. This is mental authority. Authority begins with observation. From now on, your first discipline is simple. When a thought appears, do not argue, do not follow, do not panic. Just label it. This is a voice. This is not me. Say it internally. I am the listener, not the speaker. Again, I am the listener, not the speaker. This single separation weakens the old voice because it survives on identification. When you stop calling it me, it loses power. And once it loses power, it can be retrained. That is what this audiobook is about. Not silencing the voice, not fighting the voice, training it. Because the moment you stop being ruled by the voice within, you become capable of shaping the world around you.
Chapter 2. The voice you hear was programmed. The voice inside your head did not appear by accident. It was built, slowly, repeatedly, unconsciously. This is where most people resist, because they want to believe their inner dialogue is personal, original, self-created. It is not. The voice you hear today is an echo of words spoken to you, an echo of reactions you repeated, an echo of emotional moments that left a mark. The mind records what is repeated under emotion, not what is true, not what is fair, what is repeated. A parent says something once, it hurts. They say it again, it settles. They say it often, it becomes a voice. A teacher labels you. A friend laughs. A failure embarrasses you. And the mind does what it was designed to do. It stores the sentence. Later, when the moment returns, the mind plays it back, not to harm you, but to predict, to protect, to prepare. But protection without awareness becomes limitation. Here is the rule you must understand. Nothing entered your mind without repetition. Say it internally. Nothing entered my mind without repetition. Fear is repeated imagination. Confidence is repeated instruction. Self-doubt is repeated memory. You were not born telling yourself, I'm bad at this, I'm not ready, people will judge me. You learned those sentences, and what is learned can be unlearned. But first, you must stop blaming yourself. You did not choose your early programming, you absorbed it. The mind is a recorder before it is a creator. Think about language. You did not choose your first words, you repeated what you heard. Your inner voice works the same way. If you grew up around urgency, your voice rushes. If you grew up around criticism, your voice attacks. If you grew up around fear, your voice hesitates. This is not a flaw, this is conditioning. But here's the danger. Unexamined programming becomes lifelong instruction. Most people never question where the voice came from. They assume it is accurate. They assume it is protective. They assume it knows better. It does not. It only knows the past. That is why the inner voice panics before opportunities. It is trained on yesterday, not tomorrow. Let me give you a simple example. A person says, I'm not confident in English. That sentence did not appear randomly. It was practiced, silently,
repeatedly. Each time they hesitated, each time they avoided speaking, each time they replayed embarrassment, the sentence was reinforced. The mind heard it again and again and again, and eventually it stopped questioning it. Repetition creates belief, not logic, not evidence, belief. This is why affirmations work when motivation fails, not because they are magical, but because the mind obeys repetition. The same way fear was trained, strength can be trained. But here is the key difference. Old programming is passive. New programming must be deliberate. From now on, you must become aware of what you repeat internally, because every repeated sentence is a command to the nervous system, a command to behavior, a command to identity. Your job is not to delete the old voice. That creates resistance. Your job is to out-train it. But before you can do that, you must stop pretending the voice is spontaneous. Say this clearly. This voice was learned. Again, this voice was learned. And what is learned can be rewritten. You are not broken. You are trained. And training can be changed. This realization alone removes shame, because shame says, "This is who I am." Truth says, "This is what I was taught," and teaching can be replaced. In the next chapter, you will see how this programming directly controls your actions and why willpower fails against an untrained voice.
Chapter 3. Weak self-talk creates weak action. Action does not begin in the body. It begins in a sentence. Before you move, before you speak, before you decide, something speaks first. And if that voice is weak, your action will be weak. This is where most people misunderstand discipline. They believe discipline is forcing the body, pushing harder, trying again. But the body does not lead, it follows. The body obeys the voice. Say that internally. The body obeys the voice. Watch this in your own life. Before you procrastinate, what do you hear? Later. I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. Before you avoid a conversation, what do you hear? It's awkward. They'll judge me. Now is not the right time. Before you quit, what do you hear? This is too much. I'm not ready. What's the point? Action did not fail. Instruction did. Most people blame laziness. They blame motivation. They blame circumstances. But the real cause is quieter. They are following weak internal commands. The voice does not scream. It whispers. And whispers are more dangerous because they sound reasonable. Let me show you something important. A strong inner voice does not beg. It does not negotiate. It does not debate endlessly. It issues direction. A weak voice asks questions. A trained voice gives orders. This is why motivation fades. Because motivation is emotional. And emotion cannot overpower instruction. You cannot outrun a voice that tells you to stop. You cannot force action while whispering retreat. Think of an athlete under pressure. Their body is tired. Their emotions are loud. But the internal voice says, breathe. Focus. Now. And the body responds. Not because the body feels strong, but because the command is clear. Now, compare that to an untrained voice. I hope this works. Don't mess up. What if I fail? The body tightens. The breath shortens. The movement hesitates. Same muscles. Different sentence. This is why people sabotage themselves right before progress. The voice panics when unfamiliar territory appears. Comfort sounds like safety. Growth sounds like danger. So the old voice intervenes. It says, slow down. Be careful. Stay where you are. And most people listen because the voice sounds like them. But here is the truth. If your inner voice cannot give clear direction, your life will remain reactive. Reaction feels like choice, but it is not. Reaction is obedience to habit. From now on, you must stop asking why you lack action and start listening to how you speak internally before action. Because action always follows language. Say this clearly. No sentence, no movement. Again. No sentence, no movement. If you want different behavior, you need different instructions. Not louder emotions, not more pressure. Clearer commands. This is why telling yourself, try harder, never works. Try is weak language. It contains doubt. Trained voices do not try, they decide. They say, start. Continue. Finish. Short. Direct. Non-negotiable. Weak voices explain. Strong voices instruct. Pay attention to this difference. When you say, I should probably, you're already negotiating with resistance. When you say, I will do this now, the body prepares. Language changes posture. Tone changes chemistry. This is not philosophy. This is nervous system reality. The voice sets the state. The state determines the action. That is why affirmations shouted once do nothing, but quiet sentences repeated daily change everything. You must speak to yourself the way a calm, firm leader speaks under pressure. No insults. No panic. No endless debate. Just direction. In the next chapter, you will learn something even more confronting. Your life is not responding to what you want, it is responding to what you repeatedly tell yourself to expect. And once you see that, you will never speak casually to yourself again. Chapter 4. Reality follows internal instructions. Most people believe life happens to them. They believe reality is external, random, unpredictable. That belief is comforting because it removes responsibility. But it is not true. Reality is not reacting to your wishes. It is responding to your internal instructions. Say that clearly. Life responds to instruction, not intention. Again, life responds to instruction, not intention. You can want success. You can hope for confidence. You can desire respect. But if your internal voice is issuing opposite commands, reality will follow the voice, not the wish. This is why people say, "I don't know why this keeps happening to me." But if you listen closely, the reason is always audible. Someone who internally repeats, "People don't take me seriously," will unconsciously avoid eye contact, soften their voice, hesitate before speaking, and reality responds. Not because the world is cruel, but because it is precise. It mirrors instruction. Someone who repeats, "I always struggle with money," will hesitate to charge fairly, avoid opportunities, feel guilt around growth. And reality responds, again and again and again. This is not punishment. This is alignment. Reality aligns with the dominant internal narrative. This is confronting for most people because it removes the illusion of randomness. It means your inner dialogue is not private. It is performative. It is being expressed through posture, tone, timing, and decision. The world reads signals, not intentions, and those signals are sent by the voice you repeat daily. Think about this carefully. Two people enter the same room. One internally says, "I belong here." The other says, "I hope they accept me." They stand differently, they speak differently, they wait differently, and the room responds differently. Not because of luck, because of instruction. The inner voice trains the body. The body trains the world how to treat you. Say this: the voice trains the body trains the world. Again, the voice trains the body trains the world. This is why visualization works when it is done correctly. Not because imagining success is magical, but because repeated internal scenes train expectation. Expectation shapes behavior. Behavior shapes outcome. That is the chain. Break the chain at the voice, and everything downstream changes. Most people try to change outcomes first. They want new results with old instructions. That is impossible. If you internally rehearse failure, the world will provide confirmation. If you internally rehearse calm, the world will meet stability. Reality does not argue, it complies. This is why complaining feels familiar, because complaining is repeated instruction. Things are against me. And reality answers, yes, they are. The most dangerous thing you can say internally is, "This is just how life is." That sentence freezes growth because it removes authorship. But life is not fixed, it is responsive. Responsive to tone, responsive to expectation, responsive to repetition. This is not about controlling the world, it is about controlling the signal you send into it. From now on, you must treat your inner dialogue as a command center. Every sentence you repeat is a direction to reality. Not someday, now. This does not mean lying to yourself. It means speaking deliberately. Instead of "this always goes wrong," you train "I handle this better each time." Instead of "I'm not that kind of person," you train "I am becoming that person." These sentences are not decorations, they are instructions, and reality listens carefully.
In the next chapter, you will confront one of the most damaging habits of all, the way most people speak to themselves as if they were an enemy, and how that silently destroys progress.
Chapter 5. Most people speak to themselves like an enemy. Listen carefully to how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake. Not in public, not out loud, in private, in silence. That is where the truth is. Most people believe their inner voice is honest. They call it being realistic. They call it self-awareness. But listen closely, and you will hear something else. Attack, sarcasm, disrespect. Mistake happens, and the voice says, "Of course you messed up. You're so stupid. You never learn." Imagine saying that to someone you care about. You would never. But because the voice is internal, it goes unchallenged. This is normalized self-abuse, and abuse does not create growth. It creates fear. Fear tightens the body. Fear shortens the breath. Fear narrows perception. And then people ask, why do I freeze under pressure? Because no one performs well while being attacked, especially from the inside. Say this clearly. You cannot threaten yourself into excellence. Again, you cannot threaten yourself into excellence. Harsh self-talk does not create discipline. It creates avoidance. The mind associates effort with pain, so it escapes. That is why people procrastinate, not because they are lazy, but because their inner environment is hostile. If every attempt is met with punishment, the system shuts down. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall, they wobble, they try again. If every fall was met with ridicule, they would stop trying. Your inner voice does the same thing. Every insult is a withdrawal of trust, and without trust, there is no momentum. This does not mean you remove standards. It means you change tone. High standards with hostility destroy progress. High standards with clarity create growth. Strong inner voices are calm. They are firm. They are precise. They do not panic. They do not insult. They correct. Instead of, "You always mess this up," they say, "That didn't work. Adjust." Instead of, "What's wrong with you?" they say, "Pay attention. Do it again." Notice the difference. Correction moves forward. Attack freezes. Say this. Correction builds. Attack destroys. Again, correction builds. Attack destroys. Most people inherited their inner critic. They are repeating a tone that was used on them. But repetition does not mean accuracy. The voice that insults you is not telling the truth. It is repeating a style, and styles can be changed. From now on, you must become aware of tone, not just content. Ask yourself, would this voice help me perform or protect itself by staying small? Because self-attack feels productive, but it is actually protective. It keeps you from trying again. Progress requires psychological safety. That safety must come from inside first. This is not softness. This is strategy. Elite performers are not gentle because they are weak. They are calm because clarity works. They do not need drama. They need direction. In the next chapter, you will learn where real discipline actually begins, not in motivation, not in force, but in the sentences you give yourself before action. Chapter 6. Discipline begins as a sentence. Most people believe discipline is physical, waking up early, pushing through discomfort, forcing consistency,
But discipline does not begin in the body. It begins in language. Before any disciplined action, a sentence appears, and that sentence decides everything. Say this clearly. Order precedes execution. Again, order precedes execution. Look closely at moments where discipline fails. Before you skip the workout, before you break the habit, before you give up, what did you say internally? I don't feel like it. Just today. I'll start tomorrow. Those are not feelings, those are permissions. Weak discipline is not a lack of strength, it is a lack of clear instruction. The body is neutral. It waits. It waits for direction. When the direction is unclear, it defaults to comfort. That is not failure, that is design. This is why motivation is unreliable. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is verbal. Motivation asks, do I feel ready? Discipline says, begin. No debate, no drama. The most disciplined people do not argue with themselves. They issue commands. Short, specific, present tense. Get up. Start now. Finish this. Notice something important. These sentences do not explain. Explanation invites negotiation. Negotiation invites delay. A trained inner voice does not negotiate with resistance. It moves through it. This is not aggression, it is clarity. Think of a pilot during turbulence. They do not shout, they do not panic. They say, maintain altitude, check systems, proceed. Calm voice, clear order, controlled outcome. Your inner voice must learn the same role. Not a cheerleader, not a critic, a commander. Say this, I do not motivate myself, I instruct myself. Again, I do not motivate myself, I instruct myself. Discipline fails when the voice becomes emotional. Strong discipline uses neutral language. Instead of, I hate this, say, continue. Instead of, this is hard, say, focus. Instead of, I can't, say, adjust. These words regulate the nervous system. They shorten the distance between intention and action. The goal is not to feel ready. The goal is to be clear. Clarity creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence, not the other way around. That is why waiting for confidence is a trap. Confidence is the result of repeated follow-through, and follow-through is commanded by language. From now on, your discipline practice is this. Before action, listen for the sentence. If it is weak, replace it. If it is emotional, simplify it. If it is negotiable, make it final. One clear sentence is more powerful than 1,000 emotional thoughts. In the next chapter, you will learn how to stop old sentences midstream, how to interrupt the voice before it becomes behavior.
Chapter 7. You must interrupt the old voice. The old voice will not disappear on its own. It has momentum. It has history. It has repetition behind it. Waiting for it to fade is a mistake. Old voices survive through delay. Say it. Old voices survive through delay. Most people think change happens by replacing thoughts. It does not. Change happens by interrupting them. The first skill you must master is not positivity. It is interruption. Because once a thought completes its sentence, it already shaped emotion. Emotion already shaped behavior. So timing matters. You must catch the voice mid-sentence. The moment you hear, I can't, I always, this will, you stop it. Not emotionally, not aggressively, calmly, firmly, like a teacher stopping a student mid-speech. Stop. That is it.
Say this internally. Stop, that sentence is outdated. Again, stop, that sentence is outdated. Do not argue with the voice. Arguments give it airtime. Do not analyze it. Analysis gives it importance. Interrupt, replace, move on. This is how neural patterns are weakened. Think of a bad habit. It only works when it completes its loop. Thought, emotion, action, reinforcement. Interruption breaks the loop. No completion, no reinforcement. This is how training works. Most people wait until the emotion is strong. By then, it is too late. You must interrupt early, at the sentence level. This takes practice, and practice looks boring, but boring is effective. Every time you interrupt, you steal power from the old voice. Say this. Every interruption weakens the pattern. Again, every interruption weakens the pattern. Now comes replacement. Interruption without replacement creates silence. Silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty invites the old voice back. So after interruption, you replace the sentence. Not with poetry, not with exaggeration, with instruction. Old voice. This is too much. Interrupt. Stop. Replace. Continue. Old voice. They will judge me. Interrupt. Stop. Replace. I speak clearly. Simple, functional, repeatable. This is not lying. This is leadership. You are not pretending nothing is difficult. You are choosing which sentence gets to lead. From now on, your training formula is fixed. Interrupt, replace, repeat. Say it. Interrupt, replace, repeat. You do not need belief at first. Belief is built through repetition. You do not need confidence. Confidence is a side effect. You need consistency. The old voice was built over years. The new one will not appear overnight, but it will appear because the brain rewires based on use, not intention. Every interruption is a vote. Every replacement is a direction. And over time, the new voice becomes automatic. In the next chapter, you will learn why repetition, not motivation, is the true architect of identity.
Chapter 8. Repetition is how the new voice is built. The mind does not believe what is logical. It believes what is repeated. This is difficult for people to accept because they want change to come from understanding. But understanding is passive. Repetition is active. Say this clearly. The mind believes repetition, not motivation. Again, the mind believes repetition, not motivation. Think about any belief you hold strongly. You did not reason your way into it. You heard it often. Identity is simply a collection of repeated sentences. I'm this kind of person. I always do this. I never do that. These are not discoveries. They are rehearsals. The old voice became powerful not because it was correct, but because it was consistent. Consistency builds authority. That is why random affirmations fail. They are occasional. They are emotional. They are unsupported. But quiet repetition, daily, boring, unchallenged, rewires the nervous system. This is how language becomes identity. At first, the new sentence feels artificial, untrue, forced. That is normal. The old voice feels natural only because it is familiar. Familiarity is not truth. Say this. Familiar does not mean true. Again, familiar does not mean true. Repetition works in stages. First, the sentence feels awkward. Then it feels neutral. Then it feels normal.
Then it feels obvious. That is how belief forms. This is why children learn language so fast. They are not skeptical, they are repetitive. Adults resist repetition because they demand proof first. But proof comes after belief, not before. The body must experience a new instruction repeatedly before it relaxes into it. From now on, you must lower your expectations and raise your consistency. You are not trying to feel powerful. You are trying to sound clear. Short sentences, same words, every day. I handle this. I stay calm. I continue. No variation, no creativity, no emotion, just repetition. This is mental training, not inspiration. Think of a musician. They do not play differently each day. They repeat scales. Think of an athlete. They do not improvise fundamentals. They repeat drills. Your inner voice is no different. Repetition builds reflex, and reflex replaces effort. Say this: what I repeat becomes automatic. Again, what I repeat becomes automatic. Eventually, the new voice speaks before the old one finishes. That is the goal. Not silence, not positivity, dominance. The new voice must speak faster, clearer, and more often. And it will, if you repeat it enough. In the next chapter, you will learn how to use this trained voice right before action, when pressure is highest and old patterns try to return.
Chapter 9. Speak internally before you act externally. Pressure does not create weakness. Pressure reveals training. When the moment arrives, the conversation, the decision, the risk, you do not rise to intention, you fall to instruction. That instruction is always internal, and it happens before you act. Say this clearly: command first, move second. Again, command first, move second. Most people wait until the moment arrives and then hope they respond well. That is not strategy. That is gambling. High performers prepare verbally. Before the body moves, the voice speaks. Quietly, clearly, once. This is why people freeze, not because they lack courage, but because the old voice speaks first. It says, "Be careful. Don't mess up. What if this goes wrong?" And the body obeys. But a trained voice anticipates pressure. Before the meeting, I stay calm, I speak clearly. Before the call, I listen first, I respond slowly. Before the risk, I act with control. These sentences are not emotional, they are procedural. They tell the nervous system what to do. The mind loves instructions. It hates ambiguity. Pressure amplifies whatever voice is dominant. If the old voice is louder, it takes control. That is why preparation must happen before the moment. You cannot improvise discipline under stress. You can only execute training. Say this: under pressure, I execute training. Again, under pressure, I execute training. This is why rehearsed self-talk is powerful, not because it changes reality, but because it stabilizes response. The goal is not perfection. The goal is composure. Composure comes from preloaded commands. Think of a pilot again. Emergency situations are handled by checklists, not feelings. Your inner voice must function the same way: simple, direct, preloaded. From now on, you must install pre-action sentences.
Choose them in advance, use them repeatedly, keep them short. No speeches, no explanations, just commands. Breathe, slow down, proceed. These words regulate heart rate, muscle tension, and focus. They anchor you in the moment. Without them, the mind fills the space with fear. Silence is not neutral under pressure. It invites old programming. So you must speak first, not loudly, not emotionally, deliberately. This is how calm is trained. This is how confidence appears without pretending. And over time, the trained voice becomes automatic. It speaks before doubt finishes forming. In the final chapter, you will see how this daily training compounds, how the voice you repeat today quietly becomes the life you live tomorrow.
Chapter 10. The trained voice becomes your destiny. You do not wake up one day and suddenly change your life. Life changes quietly, gradually, through repetition. And at the center of that repetition is the voice you hear every day. The voice within does not predict your future. It builds it, sentence by sentence, decision by decision. Say this clearly. What I hear daily, I become eventually. Again, what I hear daily, I become eventually. Most people think destiny is dramatic, a single moment, a turning point. But destiny is subtle. It is the accumulation of internal instructions followed over years. The person you admire did not become disciplined overnight. They repeated disciplined language. The person who seems confident did not eliminate fear. They trained calm responses. The person who feels stuck did not fail once. They repeated limiting sentences for too long. This is not judgment. This is mechanics. Identity is not who you think you are. Identity is what your inner voice allows consistently. You are always becoming what you rehearse, and the rehearsal never stops. This is why awareness matters, because the voice does not rest. If you do not train it, it trains you. If you do not command it, it commands you. Say this: I train the voice, or the voice trains me. Again, I train the voice, or the voice trains me. A trained voice creates predictability. Predictability creates stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence is not loud. It is quiet certainty. That certainty comes from repetition, not personality. Over time, you will notice something important. The old voice speaks less, not because it is gone, but because it is no longer in charge. The new voice speaks first, calmer, shorter, clearer. And when the voice changes, behavior changes automatically. No forcing, no drama, no motivation, just alignment. This is the true power of self-training. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. Not aggressively, not perfectly, consistently. The voice within becomes the leader, and the body follows, and the world responds. This is not self-help. This is self-command, and it compounds. Every day you train the voice, you move closer to a life that feels controlled, steady, intentional. Not because life is easy, but because you are clear. Listen carefully. Your life is not shaped by chance. It is shaped by the voice you repeat when no one is listening. Every hesitation, every action, every pattern you live started as a sentence inside your mind.
From this moment forward, you have a responsibility. Do not allow untrained thoughts to lead you. Do not allow inherited voices to command your future. Train the voice. Interrupt the old sentence. Replace it with a clear one. Repeat it daily. Not when you feel ready, not when you feel confident. Now. Because the voice within does not describe your life, it creates it. Your challenge is simple and final. Starting today, speak to yourself like a leader and live like one.